The stars flickered on every screen. Across 1,000 worlds the same message played, loud, proud, and cold. A tall alien stood in the center of a circular hall. His skin was silver, his eyes glowing red. He was from the Varn Dominion, the oldest, ruling empire in the galaxy. He raised his hand. His voice echoed in hundreds of languages. To all species of the stars, come forward. Show us your best. We will test strength, mind, and survival. The strongest race will take the seat of power. Weak ones will kneel. The message ended with a flash. Galactic networks buzzed with excitement. Everyone expected the Creel, the insect warlords, to dominate. Or maybe the Sorak, masters of firestorms. Even the silent Xerians showed interest. But most laughed at one name: humans. Earth received the message late, a full day after it had reached most systems. When the Galactic Council tried to warn them, Earth's representatives simply stared. "Another competition?" said General Mason, a middle-aged soldier with scars across his jaw. "No, sir," replied the translator. "It's a test to decide who rules the stars." Mason looked at the screen. Sounds like a trap, but something in his eyes gleamed. In the United Earth Command Center, the debate was quiet but tense. "They'll eat us alive. We're not ready. We should stay out of it." But one woman stood up. Dr. Elaine Noor, a scientist and war refugee. Her voice was steady. "If we don't show them who we are, they'll decide for us." There was silence. Then Mason said 2 words. "We go." The council demanded only one representative per trial. Strength, mind, survival. Earth sent a small shuttle. No fancy armor, no giant war beasts, no dramatic entrance. Just 3 humans, 1 soldier, 1 teenager, 1 old man. The galaxy laughed. On day 1, all races gathered in the arena of judgment. The Varn leader stood tall. "Let the first challenge begin," he roared. "Let us see your strength." A Sorak gladiator stepped forward. He was massive. Scars covered his chest. His forearms lifted a boulder and crushed it to dust. The crowd cheered. Next came the Creel. Their warrior tore through steel walls with its claws. Then, the human stepped forward. He wasn't young. He wasn't big. He was General Mason. The crowd snickered. "Is this a joke?" Someone laughed. "He's going to die." Another shouted. But Mason didn't blink. The task was simple. Fight the largest Varn beast, alone. The cage opened. A giant 4-eyed monster charged forward. Sharp teeth. Thick hide. Roaring like thunder. Mason stood still. The beast lunged. The crowd leaned forward. Then, Mason moved. He slid to the side, grabbed a chain from the floor, wrapped it around the beast's neck, and yanked. The creature fell hard, stunned. In seconds, Mason was on its back, pressing a sharp metal rod to its neck. He didn't stab, he whispered, "Down." The beast obeyed. The arena went silent. No one cheered, no one laughed. Even the Xerians blinked, something they never did. The Varn leader cleared his throat. The human passes. Mason walked away without a word. Back in the preparation room, the teenager, Lena, looked at him. "You trained with that thing?" "No," Mason said calmly. "I just watched how it breathed." The galaxy didn't know it yet. But that day, something shifted. They thought humans were soft, weak, emotional. But they forgot one thing. Humans had learned to fight monsters without becoming them, and that made them the most dangerous kind of predator. The arena lights dimmed. A deep hum rolled across the galaxy as the second trial began, the trial of intelligence. This time the battlefield was not strength, it was the mind. The rules were simple. Navigate the shifting maze, solve the 3 core puzzles, escape within 1 hour. Fastest mind wins. 30 races sent their most brilliant thinkers, telepaths, machine minds, memory spiders, logic drones. The crowd cheered as each was introduced, dressed in glowing robes and helmets, wired into data streams. And then, Earth's representative walked in. A girl. Small. Quiet. About 17. She wore no armor, no tech, just a hoodie with a cat on it. Someone in the crowd burst out laughing. The humans sent a child, a soft one. Maybe they gave up already. Her name was Lena Ward. She didn't smile. She didn't bow. She just walked into the maze with a small backpack. Behind her, the gate closed. Inside, the maze shifted. Walls moved. Floors changed. Heat levels spiked and dropped. Images flashed on the walls. Mathematical codes, alien poetry, impossible patterns. Most thinkers stopped and stared. Some took notes. Others accessed their implants. Lena did none of that. She sat, cross-legged on the floor, and opened her backpack. Inside, a wooden chessboard. She placed it on the floor, set the pieces slowly, then stared at them. Not the walls, not the flashing lights, the board. Then, she whispered something only the cameras could catch. Let the chaos confuse them, I only need one path. The other minds rushed. A Xerian analyst tried to calculate the moving pattern but ran into a dead end and vanished into smoke. A machine mind from Boltan 9 predicted 5 turns. But the 6th moved unexpectedly and crushed him under a falling wall. One by one, they failed. But Lena kept walking. One step at a time, calm, focused. She turned only after moving a chess piece in her hand. Pawn to e4, knight to f3. Every move matched a step. She never looked up. In the control room, one Varn technician turned to the council. She's mapping the maze like a chessboard, he said in disbelief. Chess? Another alien blinked. What is that? A human game. Old, quiet, slow. No, the technician whispered. Not slow. Precise. Lena reached puzzle room 1. A massive cube floated in the air, covered in glowing symbols. Touch the wrong one, and the cube exploded. The Creel candidate before her had lost an arm. Lena stared for 5 seconds. She touched 4 symbols in perfect order. The cube turned green and opened. She didn't smile, just walked forward. In the stands, silence fell. One alien whispered, "How did she solve it so fast?" Another replied, "She didn't try to understand the whole cube. She looked for patterns." And the pattern matched. Chess. Puzzle room 2 was harder, a logic test with moving lights and sound tones. One mistake triggered a mental shockwave. Lena sat down again, moved her queen on the board, listened, waited, then tapped the screen 4 times. Solved. Room 3 was the final challenge, a mirror room. Each wall showed different versions of Lena, laughing, crying, screaming, running. The goal? Find the real self and step through. All others led to madness, most failed. Lena paused. Then she did something no one expected. She closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and walked forward, eyes shut, into the mirror with her back turned. The door opened. She stepped through. Gasps filled the arena. She chose the version of herself that didn't look at herself. One alien muttered, "That's paradoxical. It's human." Outside the maze, the doors opened. Lena walked out. Time, 24 minutes. Every other champion either timed out or got lost. She returned to the bench. Sat next to Mason. He raised an eyebrow. "All done?" She nodded. "Good," he said. "You hungry?" She pulled out a granola bar. The crowd just stared. Later, when the council asked her how she beat the maze, Lena answered, "I didn't fight. I just played my game." That night, across the stars, aliens whispered a new fear. The humans don't roar, they don't show power, but they win anyway. Why? Because they know how to think like predators and act like prey. The council chamber buzzed with tension. 2 out of 3 trials were complete and humanity had won both. But the galaxy didn't understand how. The humans didn't shout, they didn't brag, they didn't even look serious. The soldier had defeated, a monster using timing. The girl had beaten the galaxy's smartest with an old board game. Now came the third and final trial, the one no one had ever survived. The trial of endurance. The rules were simple. 1 champion per species. Dropped on Varric 6, AR. Hostile planet with violent weather, toxic wildlife, and zero tech. Survive for 7 solar days. No contact, no help. Only the strongest survives. Alien warriors readied gear, armored suits, sharpened tools, stimulant injections, and then the human stepped forward. He was old, graybeard, wrinkled hands. His name was Eli Ward, Lena's grandfather. He had no weapons, only a small canvas bag and a calm face. One Zirian snorted. "Is this a joke again?" The Varn leader growled. "You send the old to die?" But Eli said nothing. He simply bowed his head and stepped into the drop pod. Day 1, the storm began the moment he landed. Crimson rain, thunder that shook the ground. The Boltan warrior ran to a cave and screamed when a thorn beast attacked. Eli didn't run. He stood still, then slowly walked toward a fallen tree. He used bark to cover himself. He rested under a broken arch of rock and whispered, "Day 1. Shelter." Day 2 aerial drones watched from orbit. The council reviewed the live feeds. The Zirian candidate built a fortress. The Creel used brute force to kill creatures for food. Eli? He made traps. Not to kill, but to redirect. When a fang bird approached, it stepped into a noose and flew away, stuck. When venom lizards got close, he tossed salt from crushed rock. The watchers blinked. Why isn't he fighting? He's outthinking the planet. Day 3, the first champion died, poisoned. Then another was taken by sand leeches. Only 4 remained. Eli was one of them. He built a water filter using rock, bark, and bone. He stayed under shadows during the heat. He whistled softly when it got dark. He never rushed, never panicked, just adapted. Day 4A, beast attacked. The size of a tank, 6 eyes, steel-thick skin. It destroyed the Creel camp in seconds, but when it approached Eli's zone, it stopped. Why? Because the ground was marked. He had rubbed berry juice that repelled the creature. He didn't even look up. He was sharpening a stick. Day 5, Lena watched from the command center. She whispered, "Grandpa's not just surviving. He's teaching the planet to leave him alone." Even the alien judges nodded in silence. No weapons, no aggression, only wisdom. Day 6, only 2 remained. The Zirian hunter, covered in scars, and the human. But the Zirian was exhausted. He'd fought every day, bled every night, and now as acid winds blew, he collapsed under a tree, groaning in pain. Eli found him there. Instead of walking away, he offered him water. The Zirian blinked. "You help me?" Eli nodded. Even predators rest. Day 7, all champions were recalled. The Zirian needed support to stand. Eli walked out calmly, humming. The Varn Council asked the Zirian, "Do you concede?" He looked at Eli and whispered, "He doesn't hunt. He doesn't fight. But he wins. That is apex." Cheers didn't erupt, just silence, respect. Later, a reporter from another system asked Eli, "How did you survive?" Eli replied, "You all tried to conquer nature. We humans? We used to run from lions with only sticks. But we learned. We didn't need claws. We needed patience." Across the stars, species whispered, "Humans don't fight like monsters. They survive like gods. That's why they're the true apex." The arena roared again. But this time, not with laughter, not with mockery. Now the galaxy watched in fear. 3 trials, 3 victories. All by humans, and still the aliens didn't understand how. "They don't act like apex predators," said one Varn commander. "No, worse," replied a Creel tactician. "They act like they're not even trying." So the Galactic Council created a special trial, one not part of the original plan. They called it the Trial of Combat Dominion. No puzzles, no survival, no logic. Just one human versus a creature bred only for destruction. They brought out the Zalvor beast, 10 feet tall, 2 mouths, 4 arms with blade-like claws, immune to plasma, blood boiled with acid. It had no language, only the hunger to kill. It had never lost. It had never been wounded. Not even once. Your kind is clever, the Varn leader announced. But even Apex minds bleed when torn apart. The human they sent was Mason Rigg, same man who won the first trial. Same calm eyes, same silence. No heavy armor, no pulse rifle, just fingerless gloves and a small silver ring. Mason stepped into the arena. The beast snarled. Even the ground shook. The crowd screamed, but Mason, he cracked his neck and yawned. The fight began. The beast charged. Its claws hit nothing. Mason had already rolled left. It slashed again. Missed. The crowd blinked. Did he just dodge that? By standing still? No, look at his feet, whispered another alien. I moved just enough. The beast roared, slashed, bit-kicked. Still, Mason moved lightly like he wasn't fighting, just walking through a storm. He didn't hit back. Not yet. 5 minutes in, the beast was breathing hard. Mason hadn't touched it once. He waited, measured, watched, like a hawk staring at a snake waiting for it to strike again. Then, Mason whispered, "Tired already?" The crowd gasped. The creature screamed and charged wildly. Big mistake. Mason ducked and punched once, just once, at the side of the neck. The creature stumbled. Blood. It's blood. The galaxy froze. He heard it. The council leaned forward. They checked for energy weapons, poisons, anything illegal. But Mason had nothing, just fists and technique. Another minute passed. The beast came again. Mason sidestepped, punched, turned, elbowed. Now the creature bled from 3 spots. Each strike, intentional, precise, deadly. Aliens who once ruled arenas now leaned back, afraid. This was not luck, not brute force. This was a human predator, choosing when to kill. Mason whispered again. This isn't a fight, this is a lesson. And the final blow came. He didn't knock the creature down. He let it charge one last time, then tripped it, let it fall face first into the dirt, stepped on its back, and walked away. The arena went silent, not even a cheer, just wide eyes, and the sound of a species realizing something terrifying. They don't just fight to win, they fight to teach. Later in the chamber, a young alien reporter asked Mason, "Why didn't you kill it?" Mason replied, "Killing's easy. Restraint takes power." Then he added something that would be quoted for centuries. The real apex predator doesn't roar. He whispers, and the jungle listens. From that day, the Zalvor beast never fought again. It refused to eat, refused to sleep. It sat in its cage, staring at the gate, waiting for the man who beat it without hate. The galaxy didn't sleep that night. Every planet with a screen replayed the moment. The Zalvor beast, undefeated for 93 years, was beaten without armor, without weapons, by a man who didn't even raise his voice. And the man, Mason Rigg, the calm human who walked out without a scratch. Inside the Galactic Council chambers, tension thickened. High leaders of over 40 species gathered in private. Holoscreens glowed with footage, frame by frame, analyzed. Look at his breathing, never rushed. His eyes watching every move like a predator waiting for its prey to make the first mistake. This was not luck. This was deliberate control. The Varn general leaned forward and growled. "We've made a mistake," the Zirian High Queen asked. "Which part?" he replied. "We thought humans were soft." Fear spread slowly, quiet, invisible, like smoke before a fire. In the outer systems, alien soldiers hesitated at the sight of Earth's flag. Children who once played war games pretending to fight humans now picked other species instead. The fear wasn't from brutality. It came from how quiet humans were when they won, how calmly they tore monsters down. In a dark conference hall on the planet Marin X, the elite mercenary guilds gathered. One stood and shouted, "We need to respond. They're making us look weak." Another said, "No, they're not trying to look strong, that's what makes it worse." Back on the station, Mason Riggs sat alone in the dormitory. He watched a slow ticking clock, didn't speak, didn't celebrate, just waited. Lena, his niece, approached. "They're afraid of you." He looked at her. "Good. Are you proud?" "No." "Then why?" He sighed. "They need to see that humans aren't here to play games. We were kind for too long. Now, they'll think twice before raising claws." Meanwhile, propaganda tried to spin the truth. Some news feeds claimed the beast had been tired. Others said the human was a trained assassin from Earth's shadow forces. But even the galaxy's best liars couldn't erase the image burned into everyone's mind: a man, standing with dust on his boots, calmly stepping over a monster's back. In the Creel Empire, commanders watched the replay in silence. One leaned forward. "Their strength isn't in tech." "No," said another. "It's in patience, in the way they wait to strike." "They don't start wars," the last one said. "They end them." At a military academy on Zeloth 5, a young cadet raised her hand. "Sir, what's the human war doctrine?" The instructor turned to the board. He erased every other tactic, then wrote one line. "Let them underestimate you, then make them regret it." By the end of the week, 17 different species submitted requests to form peace agreements with Earth. The human ambassador, an old woman with silver hair and a cane, smiled softly as she signed them. One alien asked nervously, "Do all humans fight like him?" She replied, "No. Most are much, much worse when you hurt someone they love." In the depths of space, pirates from the Raylac clans attempted to board a human trade ship. They didn't realize it was a medical freighter carrying no weapons. They laughed. They invaded. They never returned. The only message recovered from their ship's black box was a human voice, calm as ever. "You came for kindness. You left with memory." Soon, murals of Mason were painted across human colonies, not as a hero with muscles or weapons, but as a man walking through fire, untouched. No crown, no spotlight, just a predator. That had already won. The galaxy now whispered the same words. "Do not wake Earth, let them sleep, let them smile. For when humans fight, silence falls." The final challenge was not announced with fanfare. There was no cheering crowd, no roaring arena, no flashing lights. Instead, a quiet message arrived. Final trial, survival, one planet, all champions, one winner. Mason Rigg read it once, then closed the screen. He didn't smile, didn't frown. He just stood up, picked up his backpack, and walked out. The planet was called Cortez. It had no name in human language, only numbers. Class X, Death World, Acid Storms. Underground beasts, flora that could scream and digest flesh. And only one rule: survive 5 days, no weapons, no help, no mercy. The other champions, giants, monsters, elites, boasted as they landed. "I will be crowned within hours," roared the six-armed Darkoon. "The human won't last one night," hissed the Zirian assassin. But Mason said nothing. He stepped onto the surface, looked around once, and disappeared into the trees. Day 1, the others fought the wild, burned trees, killed beasts, made noise. Mason found a cave, collected rainwater, slept with one eye open. He didn't fight. He prepared. Day 2, the first body was found, torn apart, by vines. A scream echoed through the forest. Not Mason's. He was watching from above, quiet in a tree, eating roasted roots. Day 3. 4 champions vanished. One was eaten underground. One was crushed by falling stone. 2 fought each other out of panic. Mason marked traps with rocks so he wouldn't step into them twice. He now wore a coat made from a fallen beast's hide. Still silent, still watching. Day 4. Only 3 champions remained. The tall insectoid from the ice world, the fast lizard from the desert moons, and Mason. They met in a clearing. Accidentally. Tension. Rose's claws clicked, teeth showed, the insectoid hissed, "You're outnumbered, human." Mason didn't move, just stared, then said one sentence, "No, you're surrounded." And they realized. He had set traps around them while they talked. The lizard ran, straight into a pit of spikes. The insect tried to leap, but a wire pulled, its leg dragging it into thorns. Mason stood alone. Day 5. Only birds chirped now. The planet, deadly as it was, went quiet. Because the wild could sense him. He didn't need to fight anymore. He had conquered the world by surviving smarter, not harder. A drone flew down from the sky. It scanned him. Confirmed. Last remaining champion. A voice from the council asked, "Do you have a message?" Mason looked into the drone camera. Spoke softly. "We didn't come to prove we're strong. You forced our hand. This was survival, and survival is our oldest language." Then he sat back down and lit a small fire, calm, alone, alive. Back on the Galactic Station, the council gathered again, but this time no one spoke. They stared at the final broadcast in silence. An old Relac warlord finally muttered, "He didn't just survive the death world. He owned it." Children across the stars began drawing human figures in schoolbooks as legends. Military leaders added new training manuals. Earth tactics, wait, watch, strike. Diplomats reviewed every treaty. With humans, twice. And Mason Rigg, he returned to Earth. No medals, no speech, no parade. He went back to repairing engines in a quiet garage. When a young recruit asked him, "Why did you go through all that?" He replied, "Because I was the only one who didn't want a war, and the only one who could stop one." The war galaxy now understood. Humans didn't rule by force. They didn't shout. They didn't threaten. They simply stood alone. And the galaxy learned to fear that silence more than any army. The transmission was short. Just a few seconds. No music. No grand ending. It showed a single image. Mason Rigg, sitting beside a small fire, alone, alive, calm, on a planet that had killed dozens. Then the screen turned black, and 2 words appeared. Human wins. The galaxy didn't cheer. It didn't clap. Instead, it went quiet. Silence filled the warships. Silence echoed through the council halls, because now every species realized what they were truly dealing with. Not monsters, not machines, but humans. And humans didn't fight for fun. They fought when there was no other choice. And when they did, they ended things. Across space, broadcasts repeated one question. Who are the real apex predators of the galaxy? Not the ones with claws, not the ones with fangs, but the ones who watched, waited, and won without needing to shout. On Earth, Mason's return was quiet. He stepped off the transport ship alone, carrying the same dusty bag he'd left with. No medals, no flags, no loud welcome. Just his niece, Lena, waiting with a cup of coffee. "You did it," she said. "I did what I had to," he replied. "Are they scared of us now?" He nodded. "Good. That means they'll think twice." In the Galactic Council, treaties were reviewed. New rules were whispered behind closed doors. Never challenge Earth to prove strength again. Never assume a human is weak because they smile. Never corner a species that invented war and then learned to hate it. Mason never spoke publicly, but one interview made it to the stars. A young alien asked him, "Why are humans like this? You don't look dangerous. You help others, you share, but when you fight, it's terrifying." Mason looked at the camera. Calm as always. "We're not dangerous because we want to be. We're dangerous because we have survived everything we've done to ourselves and still chose peace. That quote was burned into memory. It was painted on walls, printed on flags, and even etched into the armor of diplomats. The galaxy had learned, humans don't need approval. They don't need a throne. They don't even need to be understood. What they needed was to be left alone. And if pushed, they would remind the stars why Earth was the one planet no empire could ever hold. In bars across the galaxy, soldiers told stories. I heard they killed a beast with a trap made from broken sticks. I heard one human outlasted a death storm for days, naked. My cousin says their children train by playing in old war zones. Each story was exaggerated. Each story was passed along with awe. But no one questioned if they were true, because the truth was already enough. Back on Earth, Mason fixed old machines in a garage no one famous would ever visit. Sometimes travelers came just to look at him. He never said much. But sometimes at night, he'd stare at the stars, not with pride, but with warning. When asked what species should learn from humans, Lena answered, "Don't fear us because we're strong. Fear us because we chose not to conquer." And we still could. That message echoed in every system. Now when humans enter a room, others listen. When a human stands still, others pause. Because the calmest voice in the galaxy came from the most dangerous hands. And long after the trial ended, long after Mason Rigg passed quietly into history, a monument was placed on Cortez. Not tall, not golden, just a small stone in the dirt, with 5 simple words. Now you know our name.